Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Comic Source. I have a legendary comic creator joining me. He came on first at San Diego Comic-Con recently to talk about a different book he's working on. Now he's here to talk about Good is Dead, his upcoming project from Image Comics. First issue's out September 17th. My pleasure to welcome David Lapham to the show. David, great to see you.
Hey, good to be here. Good to be here. I
So,
just wanted to say my partner on this, Maria, who we do Straight Bullets and so many projects together. She really wanted to be here but couldn't join today. Hopefully next time.
yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, your collaboration with Maria is legendary.
Yeah.
Won awards for it, and very much so. And I'm glad you brought that up because I got very much a Stray Bullets vibe from this, but also much different than what you're doing or have done with Stray Bullets. So let's start off by giving everybody kind of the synopsis of the story. Let them know what Good is Dead is about.
Well, Good is Dead is a modern noir, but it has its roots in the classic noir films of like the 30s, 40s, 50s. It's set in a border town, a Canadian border town, in a very isolated American town that has one bridge that goes over into Canada called the Emissary, which is the town's sort of lifeline, like for goods, for working, and that bridge is controlled by the rich family in town, the Vlades, and so they're the power in the town, and their sort of rival is this family of the Law family, the Calhouns, and the sheriff David Calhoun is the main protagonist of the story. And basically, at the start of the story, there's sort of an incident that happens that unravels an entire conspiracy that goes far beyond these two families warring into everything from into like the like shadow ops, to possible aliens, to mystical surrealism. It's a very it gets very sprawling, but it's very rooted in the part that Stray Bullets is very rooted in the characters. Um, so. There's something going on in this town that I won't reveal, but that's the central mystery of it. And very, very early on, these forces realize that the sheriff is going to be an impediment to that. So something happens to the sheriff that carries through the whole issues where he is sort of deteriorating throughout, and he has a limited sort of time clock to uncover everything and possibly save himself before the end.
Yeah,
Um,
I love the different factions and so many different characters, like you mentioned, the similarity to Stray Bullets with it being rooted in a character, but so many different characters that and I love what you and Maria do in terms of fleshing them out and making them feel real and relatable, and they all have their own kind of foibles and motivations and everything, and that's great. And yeah, that's where I got the Stray Bullets vibe. But you kind of mentioned the other thing that I loved about it that feels very different from Stray Bullets. There's a clock. There's a kind of a ticking deadline, if you will, that's approaching for some of these characters, and it creates this sense of urgency. So I wonder about choosing to do that, because the other thing is, everybody, I mean, it's like 40 pages. This is a big
yeah,
book, and I've had a chance to read issue 2 as well, and it keeps that same kind of frenetic pace.
yeah.
So when you guys were doing this, was that something that you were conscious of? Hey, we're going to stuff everything in there that we put normally in our stories, but it's not going to be a slow burn. We're really going to just pedal to the metal.
Well, that was built in. The way this originally started was we were talking to Skybound about doing a project, and they sent us like a 5 or 6 page proposal by Chris Black and Dave Alpert, which sets up the basic parameters of what we see here: the bridge, the town, the two warring families, and then and what's attracted us to it, besides all that, and there's a lot of modern elements suggested in it, but it's also very rooted in those films, those classic noir films, and it centers around this old film called DOA, Dead on Arrival. I don't know if you're familiar with the film, but it's basically a man wanders into the police station. He's dying, and he sits down and he's been poisoned. He's going to die, and then he relates the story of what happened to him in this whole thing. So he had to basically complete the adventure or whatever.
Right.
As he's been poisoned, he's basically a dead man walking. And that element is brought into this. So that set the clock. That was a central element. And it was something that really attracted us to it. And we have a lot of fun with that because there's a lot. I was telling there's a lot of layers of mystery in this. So I feel comfortable like revealing as this is sort of the main crux, which starts that clock, is very early on that the sheriff is poisoned, and we don't know by who and what the poison is, and if they can find a cure for it. But that element where he is like minute by minute, practically throughout the series, page by page, he is getting worse and worse, and has to. It was really fun to try and think of the ways he keeps himself going, through willpower, through drugs, through anything that he can do to keep himself going that one more hour, one more day to unravel this mystery, which he assumes at first that it's going to be this rival family, the Vlades. That's but as he digs in, it gets bigger. It gets
Right.
so he's got a limited time, and then the thing keeps getting bigger. And it centers around that bridge and their control over the town. And there's we got to introduce and flesh out a lot of different characters that help him or are working against him along the way. And one of the great things was we had initially it was 12 issues, which they decided to combine them and make it the 6 bigger issues, which I think is kind of cooler because you're getting like a real big chunk
Yeah,
each
yeah. No,
time.
it was great. As I was reading it, I was like, oh, it's still going good because I don't want it to end. And that's the thing. Like, I love that I get a chance to check these things out early. And I mentioned I already got to read issue
Yeah.
2, everybody, but now I just have that much longer of a wait before I get to
Right, yeah.
issue 3.
No problem. Because
Yeah,
just exciting thing about it is that this project was actually started a while ago, so it actually it is all completed.
oh, great.
So no one's going to be having to wait on me missing a deadline
Right.
or anything. It's done and it's in production. So they're all going to be there.
Great.
And just talking about in comparison to Stray Bullets, the other thing that was appealing but also different is Stray Bullets is about just about people, just about like people on the fringes of society who are uh, trying to form connections and get through the day, and intersect with a lot of crime that exists out in the fringes of society. This is actually police and government and conspiracies and possibly aliens and possibly magic and all sorts of larger elements in that way. And that was a lot of fun and a challenge to sort of bring what we do in Stray Bullets and that character element to each of these people who are not people you see in Stray Bullets, who are cops and millionaires and FBI agents and things like that.
Yeah, it was definitely a diverse cast, and the mystery is obvious when you start reading it, everybody,
Yeah.
and so many different mysteries and layers, and that leans into this idea of the frenetic pace as well. So you talked about kind of the challenge of it. I imagine that kind of the other challenge, because there are so many kind of storylines that I imagine it kind of all, they all kind of tie in the end and make sense, and we get that big payoff. But I wonder about, we start right in the middle, like right from the start. There's an incident that starts that kicks everything off. So we really hit the ground running. So when you and Maria were kind of planning and plotting this out originally from that kind of original pitch document, how challenging was it to weave everything together so that it all paid off in the end? Were you like whiteboarding or with like note cards, like, okay, this is going to be here and this is going to be here, and then eventually kind of got it to all fit? Like, how much was the actual pre-planning of outlining it and making everything fit? How much of a challenge was that?
It was a lot. Yeah. I probably should, like, I know people do whiteboarding. I know they do like index cards where you move things
Right,
around.
yeah.
Um, with us, it's usually like like say I'll sit down and I'll just do the beats out and bullet point it out, and then Maria will I'll give it to Maria, and then she'll go and give her thoughts back on it, and then we'll go back and forth like that. And then um, and then you see where the question, like, what do we need to answer? Where do we need to, like, because there's so many layers of mystery, it's like, where do we reveal this? And then you spin it into like a new thing. So there's always questions till the end. But you're sort of solving things along the way. And yeah, and then to like me, and this is like sort of one of my things, I kind of have to, I will get stuck on the details of the characters. And on some of it, I can't just put down the plot points, like we need to hit these plot points, because um, a lot of it depends on the characters.
Right. Yeah, who they are.
Can't
Right.
force the characters to hit that mark in issue 7 just because you need to get there. Or you can, but then you have to sort of manipulate your characters into it. You have to
Yeah.
put the right obstacles that it is going to get them there. You can't just force them to be where you want them to be. So um, so once we have sort of the beats down, it really just goes into then us working on more of like a plot document where you're kind of writing the thing out, but not so invested where you're writing every line of dialogue, but you really got to write it out so that the characters can come out and you can see how that they're going to play off each other, and that it makes sense to you, and then if it's and then adjust the plot to it.
Well, the other thing
It's
that I always wondered, and we've had a chance to chat before, but I've never asked you this, and it's something I've always wondered, because we talked about your characters in other projects you're working on, and how you came up with the designs for them and how that kind of informs the story. When you're building something with Maria, at what point do you start getting the ideas visually? Okay, I'm building out the arc for this character. At what point do you start saying, okay, and this is what they look like? Is that separate in your mind, or do you get kind of visual pictures of what the character designs are going to look like as you're building out the story? Where does that part come in for you?
um, pretty early on, like even if it's just talking, if it's just Maria and I going back and forth, what kind of person this is, um, looking at pictures, you know, whether that's you envision, sometimes it can be like an actor, that you're kind of envisioning a type. Other times it's like you just look at pictures of people until you see someone that fits your conception of the character. Um, but we think all of that stuff's like super important. Like I said, going back to the characters have to drive it. And so, there is that there is that back and forth. I mean, I like everybody does it different, so there's not like a right or
Right.
wrong. Like I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
people that can they just write all the way through and then just leave gaps where there's gaps. And then there's other people that have to like go word by word and make sure everything is perfect. Like I don't think either of us are like that. But there is a lot of back and forth where you're going and then you have to just stop and back up and say, wait, what is this character? Because if you don't, they're just going to end up being like a cardboard
Right. Not fleshed out.
character.
Yeah.
And and I've done that at times, and Maria will be like, "What is this? Who's this person? We don't do cardboard characters."
That's
Yeah,
great.
we have to be, they all have to be real.
Yeah. Keeping each other honest. I love that.
Yeah. So, so yeah, all that stuff does come in early, and so it's not ever like a smooth. You find you just have to stop when you hit like when you hit a mystery. You know, a new character comes in, and well, we have to figure this person out, so we have to stop. We can't just barrel ahead with the plot. Um, and a lot of that includes visuals, and that'll include a name. You know, like uh, I have a I in particular have a hard time. Like if I can't put a name on the character, I can't do like a placeholder name. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
can, but then the placeholder name is just going to become the
Become
name.
the name. Right. Yeah.
Placeholder name is Bob, then the character's going to be Bob in the end. So, but yeah, it all comes into making them real. And with this, um, in Good as Dead, that was one of the appeals of it that we had these 12 issues or the six double-sized issues. So we had the space. We didn't have to shorthand or cliff note anything. Can make everybody real. Everybody's has a story that plays out. Everything could be set up. Could do all the character bits and everything that we would do like in a Stray Bullets, where we could bring the scale down. This is scale up, but we have the time and the space to do everything we wanted to do.
Yeah. It's interesting in terms of how early you start imagining what they look like. But I
Yeah.
wonder about the narrative storytelling or the kind of the visuals as you're laying them out, because we did mention about how it is faster paced, still with the huge cast. So in terms of your actual visuals, in terms of your art, was there anything that you did differently, or anything that is different about this because it is faster paced and it's not kind of that slow burn, and also Stray Bullets typically black and white. This you're doing color as well. So anything different in your artistic process?
Um, it's kind of I would say it was a lot similar, because I think that in that like Stray Bullets is very we do a strict grid, like 8 panel grid.
Hmm.
And more than any other book I do visually, in Stray Bullets are really there are exceptions, but very much try and hold to the 8 panel grid. And there's that's pretty much what happens in Good as Dead as well. And I think that though plays into the clock because having that uniformity will just suck you in where you forget about the panels and you just go panel to panel to panel to panel, and that speeds up the pace.
Hmm.
And it gives it this rush, and then there'll be parts where it opens up and you get a breath. Usually when something bad happens,
Yeah, yeah.
and so and then as far as color, um, yeah, color is a very funny relationship with color, and the fact that the stuff we're most known for is been black and white. And I find color kind of scary because I don't do my own color. And so it's like it's really in someone else's hands
Mm-hmm.
to do, um, and you just have to sort of work with that, and just make sure it's helping the story along, and that's obviously what we have here in Good as Dead. And but I can't say that I drew for color specifically like I did. I made an allowance for that or thought about that, other than that it has to add to the noirish mood and feel, uh, um, and which is what it's done, having that contrast, like even in the beginning episodes where you see where it's like everybody's enjoying everything, it's a bright, nice
Right.
day,
Yeah.
and then everything goes to hell. And then you start seeing the seedier elements and the neon lights come out, and so it definitely has the feel of what we want. This like self-contained world, and yeah. Um, so yeah, I wish I had like an answer. Oh no, it was a totally different approach. It actually was quite similar approach, and the nods that are maybe to speed are, which again we do in Stray Bullets. It's most Stray Bullets, except for certain stories like the Amy race car stories and stuff, where we'll have like captioning, internal monologues and stuff like that. This also doesn't, we usually don't have that, and
Right.
this doesn't have it either. That was on purpose to keep that pace going, to keep things moving, panel to panel to panel. Should read very, very quickly, but there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a nice rhythm to it, and I mean, I love your black and white art, but I appreciated seeing it in color.
Yeah.
D. Cunniffe is the color artist; he does a fantastic job, and I especially like. So, from the first two issues, my favorite scene is in the second issue in the rain. We won't say beyond that. Everybody, you'll have to wait and check it out for yourself. But I love that because that added a lot of kind of atmosphere. What's happening is happening in the rain. It was really, really great. So
Right. Yeah. I love it. And one of my favorite things is both story wise and then in drawing is weather.
yeah.
Um, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's also worth it. It adds I think a lot to have your characters playing out a scene while it's torrential downpour
Yeah.
coming down, and it's we did it in Stray Bullets a few times, rain, snow, things like that, and I always like to add that environment whenever I can.
Well, I often ask creators when they come on if there's a certain moment, in the upcoming issue that they can't wait for readers to see. But I sort of feel like the entire issue of first issue of Good as Dead is filled with moments. So I imagine just looking forward to having this out there for you and Maria to kind of see how
Yeah,
you
for sure.
fans.
Although I do have
Yeah.
like my favorite character is this character who's the sheriff's sister, whose name is Bobby.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And she's like a Wyatt Earp type character, is how I just described her. But she's very capable, ex-military, severe PTSD, completely nuts. Sees fairies, and I think she's going to be people's favorite character. She was my favorite character. So
she's
I'm
a lot
looking
of
forward to
fun.
it.
Yeah, she's definitely wearing a tinfoil hat though. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Tons of fun. So, well, David, thanks so much for joining me. It was great talking to you again, and I can't wait for people to read this book as well because I think it's a home run. The first two issues were amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. We're really excited about it.
So remember, everybody, first issue is out on September 17th, and when you go and pick it up and read it, don't forget to let your comic shop know you want the whole series. Pre-order the remaining issues. You don't want to miss out. Oftentimes, shops will order extra copies of number ones for the shelf, but that doesn't mean they're going to have a copy of number 2 or 3, and so on and so forth. So let them know that you're going to be reading it so you can be sure to get a copy. It helps out your retailer. It helps out David. It helps out Skybound. So just let everybody know. So as we're closing down here, David, anything else you want our audience to know?
No, just I mean, I guess just if you like this, and you don't know Stray Bullets, definitely check that out. I also have a number of other things coming out. Things I've been working on the last few years. Everything seems to be coming out now, so just check out other stuff by me, and also Maria and I together have some other stuff out on the stands.
Great. Where's the best place are you active online at all to find out when you have stuff dropping?
A little bit. No, not recently. I have an Instagram, but I haven't really used that. I have a Blue Sky, um, and I was on Twitter, and then I dropped that at a certain point. I think you can imagine
Yeah. Yeah.
about that. But
I know it's so hard to stay active and keep up with deadlines and also promote your stuff.
Yeah, and there's just so much of the world that these days that have come in, and that sort of takes over everything. It's hard to then, I don't know, jump on and be like, hey, I like comics, even though I don't know, it's very it's so yeah, I'm sure like there's stuff out there. I'll like get out on. So I do try and uh, put stuff up on the Blue Sky. If so, probably there's a good as good a place as any.
Yeah, or everybody just keep tuning into the Comic Source because we're always talking about David's stuff. You know, we're huge fans of his work. So I'll go ahead and put a link to David's.
And bug your comic shop guy.
Yeah, exactly. They'll know. Yeah, they'll know as well. So again, pre-order. Be sure to pick up Good is Dead #1. And again, David, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And to everybody out there joining us, whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to the audio only feed, we really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next time.